Are you back?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Now I can. Yeah.
Okay. That was weird.
Yeah.
Well, how does it
So-
sound on your end?
Okay, I guess. Doesn't sound as good, actually. If I'm honest. But-
Unfortunate.
I know. What does it sound
Okay.
like to you?
You sound pretty good,
Okay.
but
It's definitely not user friendly. I'll tell you that right now. Good grief. The biggest bunch of baloney. I don't even know.
yeah, I know. It's not. It's not. There are so many steps to this.
Well, yeah,
And
and I like I said, I don't know why I even bothered downloading that application because it just takes me to the Microsoft store.
Really?
Thanks. Yeah. So I'm using the web one right now because the thing I downloaded, literally that thing I sent you, the
Yeah.
picture,
Yeah.
it's just like Microsoft Store. Like, no, Microsoft, stop
No.
it. I don't want that. Go away.
Okay. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Why they
So
would do that?
it's just like not doing anything. So I don't really understand
Seems-
what why it exists.
Seems pretty useless.
Yes. So I'm just on the web thing. So I guess I'll just delete that other thing if I don't need that in my life, in my way.
If that's going to work, whatever.
Yeah. My luck, I delete it and then it's like, oh no, can't find blah blah. Blah. Like,
Sure. Right. Just wait for that. Wait for that.
that'll happen because that's my luck, obviously. But yeah. Oh no.
Jeez. Well. Okay. Well, like I said, I'm recording this, and so I will see what I get back on the other side because I'm not 100% sure what I get.
That's fair.
If it's just me, or if it's just you, or what.
That would definitely be weird if it was just one of us.
Right. And so what that would mean is, I guess, like, you would also have to record your end, and then we'd have to swap files. So
that's a sinking nightmare, though. I don't think that would be very.
Well, we'd all have to clap at the beginning.
Oh no!
So I could align everything up.
That would be awful.
And then every 20 minutes we have to pause and snap our fingers to make sure.
That wouldn't work because you. Well, I guess it would because you would have to go 3, 2, 1, go. Like.
Yeah.
But that's terrible. Oh yuck.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, have you heard from Aaron?
No, just he didn't like my corn joke. I don't think.
Well,
I think he's a little stressed out and didn't appreciate my humor.
well, I found out that I don't know if I told you, but the department is going through a massive reorg as far as how we're structured.
You mentioned that at one point, yes.
Well, we got the first of the rollouts Tuesday. So
I don't really like where this is going.
So currently, the department has 5-ish divisions. It's like fisheries. What is that? Fisheries division, forestry division. There's a wildlife division. There's HR. There's resource science and private lands.
That's more than 5.
Right. So that's 6.
Let's make sure.
And then there's and then administration. So there's like 7 departments.
But not 5. So
No, not 5. And right now, all of those are centralized in Jeff City, and they send out from their decrees on high out for the regions to implement.
It's very, very feudal, I think.
Yeah.
It's very...
But what it does mean is that there are like very clear boundaries, and there's a very clear like mucky mucks that say do this, don't do this.
Yeah. The clear like power structure, for lack of a better word, right? Like an organizational power structure.
But it also means that like fisheries has their own program to get federal funding. That program looks very different than the program to get sometimes the same federal funding that forestry has in place or that wildlife has in place. So each division has its own systems to accomplish the same tasks many times. So they rolled out something, and it looks totally different. Totally different. This structure, first off, this structure means like there's still the central office and where the director's office is, but they have pushed almost all of the decision making out to the regions. So each region gets a little czar
Right.
over the Kansas City region. And then under each region, they have divisions under them. But what they have done is they have taken Fisheries Division, Forestry Division, and Wildlife Division and combined those into one division and called it Resource Management.
Oh.
So
Funding.
What this means, well, not necessarily funding, but what this means is that Fisheries had a division chief, Forestry had a division chief, Wildlife had a division chief. No more division chiefs. So where do those 3 people go? It also means that
do they get split out to different regions. Does one get to go like, you are now the regional advisor of like Southeast Missouri?
So that's the question. Do they get the opportunity to get that regional czar position, or can regional managers? Because we have regional managers.
Oh yeah, we already have regional managers.
Already have regional managers, but their position is also going away to make room for this other structure. So
yeah, this is very bureaucratic and strange. Like I don't really know.
It is. So
I would be more worried about, what'd you say, Fisheries, Wildlife, and what?
Forestry
all together.
Yeah.
So my biggest concern would be if Fisheries, Wildlife, and Forestry all were receiving separate funding.
Yeah.
But now they're one department.
Yes.
Now they're just going to receive a fund that's probably not. They're not going to account, I imagine, for the fact that it's actually 3 separate entities, and just say, "Oh no, look how much money we're going to save because now we can give all these departments this much money."
Yeah.
So their budget has just shrunk dramatically, I would imagine.
Yeah, and the other part about this is since they pushed out to the regions, if Kansas City region wants to implement a fishing derby or a program, like they want to.
Yeah.
Right now, the division chief goes, everybody in fisheries has to have this fishing program.
Yeah.
And they can hold people accountable. But right now, with it put to regional, the regional czar can go, you know what? We don't need that fishing program that we do at all. So we don't need anybody to run it. So we don't need that position anymore. So since you're no longer doing that, how about you go help out the forester, or how about you do this other thing? So we watched this unroll on Tuesday down in Springfield, and it was a 2-hour-long thing. And at the end of it, I was just sitting there and I was like, oh no. Oh
yeah,
no. Because not just for like, because the big thing here is I don't know how this is going to affect my job.
I don't think anybody knows, really. That's the interesting bit, right?
So some people, it's pretty straightforward. Like if you're
but if you're like the top person, then you just go be top person somewhere else.
Well, no, I mean if you are in hatcheries, if you are a hatchery technician, your job's not going to change because of this, because you're still going to
do
hatchery stuff.
Yeah.
My position is what's called a statewide. So I'm a technical support staff for statewide needs. So if a fisheries management biologist in Northwest needs stream technical advice, I can go.
Right now, the whole state.
Right now, we just within our unit, we say you can cover Northwest. We've broken it up amongst ourselves, but technically, I am statewide.
Yeah.
And we've divvied up the demands within.
Yeah, just because it's more efficient.
So, but if you remember how the structure was that I just laid out, it's region based.
Yes. So that goes to what region do you get parsed to, right?
What happens to a statewide program?
So you either go to the top, right,
or
to like some random region, I guess.
Some random region, or they get rid of us because they're no longer doing statewide programs.
Well, it's so here's the thing. Like, part of it makes sense, right? Like, I understand that you need to departmentalize because the needs of the needs of Southwest Missouri are not the same as the needs of Northeast Missouri.
Or like St. Louis region should not be managed the same as the Ozark region.
No. Yes, that's what I just said. Thank you. But I know. I know. I'm just official term. I'm sorry, but yes, I agree. So like St. Louis and like down here in the 4-state zone, like it's not. It doesn't need PMs because population and all that stuff, the agriculture, production, but like, so that makes sense. But the thing that it sounds like it already wasn't being managed the same, right? Because the people in charge of that region were like, yeah, I know. Come on.
100%.
So now when they're like, oh no, we're going to make it official now. Like, that's kind of like unnecessary. The only term that's coming to mind right now is balkanization, right? of the power structure, where it's like, no, I'm in St. Louis. I cannot be in a room with someone from Kansas City.
Yeah.
I can't look at them. It's like, it's just, I mean, not just like, obviously, but it's very like Bosnian and Serbian, like, right? It's like, so it's like, oh no, you're from Southeast Missouri. Oh no, I cannot associate with you. So I'm going to parse you off to your own sector and not have anything to do with you at all. No. Top oversight, which is odd, or a lot less top oversight.
Like, a lot less tight. Like, there's still going to be a Grand Poobah.
Well, yes,
that oversees this stuff, but it's not like. And there's a lot other nuance in the org chart that's not really coming across, but like obviously, I'm focusing on this because that's like what affects me.
Well, that's because it affects you the most, obviously. So yeah.
So we afterwards, our entire unit was down in Springfield to have a unit meeting, and when I say entire, like we were one of the smallest units in the department.
Our entire unit of 7, right? Like it's not very.
It's bad. But so. And stream unit is weird because we have stream technical. That's what I'm in. We do the support service and technical advice to in-house and interagency people, and then we are also we're also with stream team. So the people who do the water quality monitoring, all the volunteer stuff. Yeah. Well, we look at our unit chief Sherry, and we go, Sherry, what does this mean for us? And she basically was like, well, one, if you will notice, in the org chart, there's no such thing as a unit chief anymore. So her job got taken away immediately. So she's technically without a job. And so, I mean, basically what they did is they didn't change they're not going to change the number of total positions available within the department.
Right? But that doesn't mean it. Like,
so there's still going to be 1,500 some odd chairs. But what they are going to do is they're going to go, okay, we took away the unit chief level position, so now we can put those positions somewhere else in the department.
Yeah.
And
probably somewhere lower paying.
Probably.
Just because that's why people restructure this way, right? That's like just how, because you do that, you go, oh no, we're doing away with this, and we're doing away with all this like mid-level management. So that means we can pay people less money. We can make our budgets go down because we don't have to pay out as much stuff.
Exactly what's happened here. And so what they've also so she said that, and all of a sudden I was like, oh shit. And then she said that stream unit has been the thorn in this entire process's side because they don't know what to do with us.
Oh, because it's the best, obviously.
Because that's how we are. We're like, yay, we're number one.
It's true. Well, I mean, it makes sense because if you are the streams unit, right, that means all of the streams in Missouri. So if they want to balkanize the state of Missouri and set it up into regions, then you have to now have at least, I mean, technically Missouri is what, 8, 9? Yeah. Regions. That's geographic regions, but you can. Well, it depends on how you split it, right? Geographically, there's.
But the MDC region is MDC regions. It's 2, 4, 6, 8 regions.
I was gonna say it's got to be 8 or 9, just kind of based on how it works.
Northeast, Northwest, Kansas City, Central, St. Louis, Southeast, Southwest, Ozark.
Yeah, because that's like the South Central-ish, right? Like, yeah.
So
Central and a little bit South. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and so we were like, okay, well, what do you mean? And she goes, well, here's the thing. The person who got placed in charge of Fisheries, Forest, and Wildlife Division, those divisions are now called Resource Management. His name is Brian. He was the former Fisheries Division Chief. Division chiefs no longer exist, and so they all competed, and he got it. He wants a stream unit to stay under him. However, he's also a kind of slimy sleaze politician guy, so he'll do whatever is going to win him the most political points down the road.
Obviously, like you
do. And so we are very concerned about being under him because of he's not going to have our back. Secondarily, here's the other weird part, is that he is now this was only a partial rollout. They basically rolled out who is in the director's office today. They've given themselves
until gone down the chart, right?
They've given themselves until December to go down the entire chart. Then and then they'll be finessing and going back and forth. And then July of 2020 is the official rollout where we will be implementing this organization structure. So we have now until July. However, Brian is already functioning as the resource management chief, which means that there is a fisheries chief position open that they want to fill.
Yeah.
So our unit chief, I know none of this makes sense. Sherry was like, I'm going to see if I'm going to apply for that job. However, she is competing against this other guy who has for years been campaigning to do away with entirely the stream unit, to make it disappear. And so, but Sherry's not much of a politician because she doesn't suck up to people and doesn't try to win those points. The guy she's competing against totally is, and is a total sleaze. And those kind of people win these positions.
Yeah,
we are very concerned what happens if he gets that. So the other option is, so he gets in power and he goes, you know what, stream unit, still call yourself stream unit, whatever you want. You're on CWD and feral hog detail. Congratulations.
Yay.
I just completely changed our direction. The other place, so we were like, we do not want to be in that chain of command. We don't want to be. The other option is for us to go over to resource science and be part of the research side. They're a little more understanding of what we do and kind of the nuances of how we work. But if we go over there, naturally, they're going to go, hey, that's great that you work with landowners. That's great that you do education. That's great that you work on these interagency policy-making panels. We don't do that very much over here in resource science. So could you not do as much outreach and education and go measure this water temperature by this dam and let us know what it is? So, and we would turn into more of a streams research program.
Yeah. I don't know.
And so
that's tricky.
And so because they're moving these deck chairs around, they keep saying they're actually going to be creating a lot of positions that didn't exist before.
Well, yeah, but they're going to be like trail manager positions, right? Like also one of the things that you do when you restructure a company, like we're just going to use the company or metaphor here. When you restructure them, kind of what you're hoping to do is you're hoping people will quit, so you can get new people in there and and so you don't have to fight the battle, right?
Yes.
You don't have to fight the battle against all the people that have worked there before and like want things to be a certain way, and you're trying to like fight it and make it some new entity that's all weird. So
yes.
when you drastically change it, you're kind of hoping people will just go away and you can get new people that you can get them to do whatever you want.
Yes.
Right? Like that's the other strategy at play here. Some little corporate assassination, basically. Like, hey, we're gonna just make you quit. We're gonna make you so mad that you just go somewhere else.
Yeah, and that's
like we can get people that we know will just listen to us.
And that's
it, right?
That's exactly what they're what's happening. There are people that they're like 1 year, 2 years away from retirement that the department is kind of nudging, being like, hey.
Yeah, you'll see that. You'll see the like increased like bonus package. Like, hey, if you go ahead and retire early, we'll give you these bonuses to get out. Right? That's gonna come out. You'll see the email coming around. You'll see some like incentive packages of like, oh hey, like it's blah, or if you want to keep working but maybe you don't want to work so hard, you could work at this lower position for a year or two and then retire with your full benefits that you would have had anyway.
Yes. And
just so you can you can get out. It'll be worded like, oh, you can take it easy because you're almost done, right? It'll be like that kind of thing,
and just get out of the way. There's one. His name's Paul, and he's currently a unit chief, so one below a division chief, and he oversees the entire. He's like Missouri River Division chief or whatever, and he's been there for years and years and years. He's 2 years away, and basically what the department is going to do for him is, he lives here in Sedalia, but drives every day to Jeff City. So what they're going to do is they are going to create kind of like a keeper of Sedalia.
Yeah, you see, I told you, I knew
it. And his pay, for him, the pay is going to stay the same.
Right. Exactly. Because it's only 1 year. They can pay that for 1 year.
He's not in any policy decision making. He's not in leadership. He's not supervising anybody. He's just kind of our grandpa for a year.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, I'm just gonna estimate numbers here. Okay. I have no knowledge of how much anybody in Missouri Department of Conservation gets paid. So,
look it up online.
That's good. Yeah, you can do that with mine too, but you'll be disappointed. So let's just say high-level head guy is making like, I don't know, $80,000 a year, whatever. Doesn't matter.
Sure.
They can afford to pay that for 1 more year because the person they're going to hire to replace him, they're going to pay that person like 50. Done.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And they're going to be like, oh yeah, you can have all this, and it'll be that 50,000 instead. And so they're like, oh, we can budget that out for 1 more year because it doesn't matter, because when he quits, we're going to be saving $30,000. Like that's
yeah, right. And so they start somebody brand new at a lower pay, and it'll go up from there, but not initially.
Not as high, and won't go as high as that was. That's how it always works, right? It'll go up, but it'll go to like 55. Oh wow!
Yeah,
look at you, right? That's kind of like the teaching pay schedule. They're like, oh, look how much your salary's gone up. It's gone up $1,000 more. You're like, wow, thanks. That doesn't even. What you've done is put me in a higher tax bracket, and now my actual paycheck is less. I hate you.
Yeah.
Sorry, side rant. Okay.
No, I yeah. No, I get it. And so, I'm sitting there and I'm still like, okay, but how does this affect like what genuinely what is like day-to-day differences? And
Well,
so I sat
yeah, like,
and I sat in my boss's office today and we talked and it was, oh my gosh. She was like, "Well, you know, we we don't know, because you have to, part of it is not just who we like where what quote unquote division we get moved into, but also who gets appointed to those or who gets hired for those
yeah,
management
who
jobs.
gets in charge? Yeah, that's the
And then you start playing the political game of like, well, this person, like if Bruce gets that position, we are done for
well, yeah,
because nobody will have her back. If and then if we are in that system and if they lump us into the Kansas City region and just say for accounting sake you are Kansas City, Angie was like, there are 7 people that I think would have taken that regional Kansas City regional czar position that would not give us the time of day. And so
what that means. Here's what that means, though. Positive spin. That means they also don't care what you're doing.
well,
So you can
except
just keep on going.
well,
And if
except
nobody tells you to stop, you just keep doing it, right?
well,
That's how it works, right? You just
she said specifically there are 2 of them that would actively go after us.
well,
And so
that's
yeah,
okay.
again,
Well, that's different. But if
you're
they're just
sitting,
gonna ignore you, that's like the
oh,
best case scenario. You just
yeah,
do whatever you
just
want
go
and
under
just
the
be like,
radar
oh, here we
and have
are.
nobody pay attention to.
And just keep a low profile, do your thing, and
I
then nobody will notice.
totally, totally understand. And so she was like, Colin, I'm just gonna be perfectly honest. I updated my resume today. And I was like,
Yeah, I mean, like, see, like, pushing her out.
well, yeah, because she doesn't know. Again, is she needed? Is her position needed? She has no idea. She has no. It's all going to depend on where we end up. And also, she may decide that it's not worth it to try and stay in her role if she's not doing the work that she wants to do.
Well, yeah,
And so,
that's the other thing.
and here's the big kicker. Is that they are actively working. Well, not big kicker. I mean, all this is big kicker, but
I was gonna say there cannot be a bigger kicker than that.
But here's another thing: is that so they are working towards filling out the org chart with getting names in all the places by the end of the year. As they do that, they are going to be new positions created and needed as that time comes.
Yeah, like mystery positions too.
Mystery positions. They are going to be posting those positions as they create them for opening. Okay. So if the final is not posted until December, but a position is opened in a month and a half.
Oh yeah, how do you know?
How do I know to take it?
Yeah, exactly. Because at the end, because then you get screwed. Because at the end of December, the one that actually is the one you want comes up. You're like, dang it, why? Yeah. But then, of course, if you're like me and you have my luck, then you're just like, I'm gonna hold out. And then the one you want like doesn't show up, and you're like, well, crap.
Exactly. Or if I'm like, you know what? I heard from a birdie that we're going to go to resource science and we're going to get the dream position and we're going to have a lot of doors open for us. And that's why I'm not going to look at any of the jobs. And then that collapses because of political reasons. And I'm like, well, I would have applied for that job a month ago
because
if I would have known.
Yeah.
But
now, SOL, right? Like, oh man, okay.
So that is the fun part.
Yeah, that's just such a great, exciting day you had.
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. I thought my day was bad. I was just dealing with 6th grade girl drama. Never mind.
I would rather deal with this.
Yeah, I'm saying, you don't want that. You don't want any part of that girl drama. It's crazy. It's basically the same thing, just with smaller people. Like,
Oh man. So
yeah.
Yep. That's so yeah. And then so we did that, and then we let's see here. We stayed overnight in Springfield, and then yesterday we got up and toured a stream channel restoration project in Springfield. It's right off of Sunset. It's right along the Greenway Trail.
Yeah.
Okay. So they took that. It used to be just a three-sided concrete ditch.
Yeah, like a trapezoidal shape, right?
Yeah, yep. Trapezoidal stormwater.
If you drew an imaginary line across the top, it would be trapezoidal.
And
storm drain channel thing, right?
Yep. They ripped all of that out and put in a natural stream channel design in Springfield. Yeah, it was like it's like a $1.1 million project, and they've got all sorts of crazy rock weirs and submerged logs and things to create riffles and to control gradient changes so it doesn't send a head cut back up through the system. They even went up through the side channels where stormwater comes in. More stormwater runoffs coming in. They created wetlands on the upside of those to help little retention basins.
Oh, yeah, well, that'll help with the flooding too when it rains off the.
They planted natural vegetation and all sorts of stuff in there, and we got
rad.
We got to talk with the horticulturalist that is in charge of that project and the maintenance supervisor and how they deal with all that stuff, and it was really, really cool. I could have stayed there for a long time talking about it.
That's really sweet.
Yeah. And but then we went and we floated the lower portion of the James River.
Right. Yes.
To Hootentown. I'd never been there before. Anyway.
No, I've never gone below the Lake Springfield.
Yeah, so we were like way below Lake Springfield, and we I forget where we put in, but we took out this place called Hootentown.
I did not. Yet another town in Missouri that I had no idea existed until today. This happens very frequently to me. People like literally every time there's like a storm, they say a name of a town, and I've lived here forever, and I'm like, where? What? So Hootentown, new one. Okay.
Yep. And that was fine.
Is it your typical gas station, post office, buy town? Is that kind
of pretty much, yeah. And it was fine. There,
it was not fine, was it?
It was fine. No, I mean,
fine. It was fine.
It's tough because obviously everybody has different experience levels, and I am by no means an experienced canoeer, but
yeah, you are.
But
no, I don't sell yourself short there. I know how much floating you've done. Okay. It's way above average. Okay, so it might have been a while, but it's definitely more than your average bear, as it were.
Okay. Thank you. It's just, and so whenever somebody's like, "Have you ever floated?" and then it's like, "No, I've never floated."
No, I canoed, sucker. Get out.
They typically get stuck with somebody who is a little more confident in the boat because they don't want to, the group leader will say, "Okay, since you've never floated,
you split them up, right? Like they did with me and those little kids on that 150 miler where I got like little children on my boat who can't paddle."
Right. They say, "Okay, you go with this person, so you are not going to be dead the entire time." You're like,
yeah.
So
you got to be the experienced one, and you got to
and she was very nice. She was very nice. But like you know how whenever you use a canoe paddle, you
Yes, I'm familiar with a canoe paddle.
Okay. So visualize, you hold it upright and you go straight down into the water and straight back. This is so that your boat continues to move forward.
Yeah, Newton explained this to us.
Any deviation from this or any angles added to the paddle will push the canoe from side to side.
Once again, Isaac Newton, ladies and
Yes,
gentlemen.
I know it tends to work. Is onto something there. So
was she using it like a boat oar?
Yes.
Ah.
Yes, she was.
Okay.
And she's at the front of the boat because
you're getting flung to the side.
Yes, because I don't. In these cases, I don't trust them to steer because you steer.
Oh no!
Back of the boat, right?
No.
So
I'm steering. I don't care who I'm getting in the boat. I'm in the back.
You stay up at the front, and I will stay at the back, and I will.
I might let you in the back. That's about it, though.
Well, thanks. Part of that is like, okay, because the other part is, continuing to do your best to try and always row on the same side so that you can be consistent and you can steer and whatever. If you start switching back and forth, it makes it very difficult on me because I'm steering and I have to switch sides, and it's hard to both switch sides and then steer at the same time.
Or you have to rudder, which just increases your drag and slows you way down.
And I hate ruddering, but so she was taking these huge.
Sometimes
sweeps.
I do it because I'm lazy.
And it's needed sometimes, and I don't mind if you're on a river that's moving.
That's true.
Rudder the crap out of that. Don't worry about it. But if you're in a slow-moving, stagnant area,
the Lower James River,
the Lower James River turns out to be, you don't. Yeah, I can't do that. So she was like doing
Upper James River is also like that. I don't know if you remember, but it's been.
It just there are parts. There are good and bad parts. Whatever. So
they're not great.
So she's taking these very shallow.
Unless it rains, then oh Lord, hold on.
Oh, it can. Yeah. So she's taking these very shallow, wide, sweeping off to the left side.
Oh no!
Continually pushing the front of the boat to the right.
Oh no!
So I'm in the back, having to take huge, sweeping, corrective J turns or J strokes or these big side paddles to get us back into place. So my strokes are less effective. So because it's not as efficient to do that.
No.
And so I'm just fighting her constantly of I go over here and I'm like, hey, could you just stay on that side that's working out really well right now?
Could you just not paddle at all?
That'd be great. Just sit there. But she's like, oh, I go kayaking with my dad all the time. And so at first I was like, great. And then she was like, but I've never been in a canoe. And I was like, oh no.
Well, wait. That's not how kayaks work either. So I'm not. Is it like one of those lake kayaks, like the big ones, like the open top ones? It's not really a kayak; it's just like a log that floats.
Mm-hmm. So it's a little more forgiving to just do those really shallow dips and just kind of casually go along
in a
lake, as opposed to needing to when you're in a river, you can't. In the river, you have to make sure that you are working with the river and in control at all times, and not just being you can't be passive. You're not floating here, right? You've got to.
Well, I mean, those are the two schools of thought, right? Floating, quote unquote, floating. I don't know why I'm making air quotes. You can't see me. Floating.
If you could see the gesticulation that I'm doing with my hands this entire time.
You knew it. I was doing it. That to me conjures up the image of I'm going to sit in my boat. There will be a cooler.
Yeah.
Another canoe will possibly be lashed to the side of
most assuredly,
the one you're in.
Or
and you'll just be
off the back.
Yes, and you'll just be spinning lazily down some river, probably the Elk River down here in Matt County.
Yeah.
Canoeing, which is what normal people do, or the pastime that I am familiar with, involves actively trying not to crash into things in the river. Yes. So I understand.
Yeah, right. And playing and trying to find the thalwag and trying to make sure the river is pushing you, but also and riding down the rapids in a fun way and playing in eddies and just enjoying the whole river.
More active.
Yes, right? It's very active. And so, and and in order to do that, you have to be engaged. You have to have good power strokes. You have to know which one to use. And I look up there. We're just barely over halfway. We just did lunch, and she's up there, and she's holding the paddle with both hands touching in the middle of the shaft.
What?
Not even one on the big handle at the top, but just in the middle of the.
Why do you think there's a T-grip?
I don't
know. What do you think it's for? Does it look nice? Is that for like hooking branches?
So you can hook things and hook the other boat and bring it in closer.
Gosh, no.
And the other part is that they were looking for, since we're taking a group of 13 people is everybody in our stream unit, 13 people out with us. We've got coolers and stuff. Well, my boss is a phenomenal canoeer, and so she does a solo canoe with 2 coolers in hers, and they need another cooler to go somewhere, so I put it in ours, but ours just happens to be the drink cooler. We are also the ones that people are going, hey, wait up, or hey, bring one over here, or so we're like a drink
like service. Hey, stop it, get up here, paddle front.
Right. And so we're not only needing to be active in the river, but I'm also having to be extremely conscientious of the fact that if we tip, all of this is going to go into the river, and that's bad. And I'm need to be making sure that we are able to help others and do all of that stuff. And so
I hope you didn't have any Sprite in your cooler, because we did a science experiment and we found out that Sprite will sink because it's way too dense.
Oh, we had a lot of Sprite. How about Mountain Dew?
Mountain Dew also. We didn't have Mountain Dew. It does not have that in our school vending machine. But Diet Coke will float.
Okay.
But Sprite sinks. It's way denser than water.
We had a couple.
Sprite. It was like we measured it. Its density was like 1.08 or something like that. Sink.
Really?
Blam.
Oh.
I even threw it in a bucket and it sank.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. Okay, that's good. So, I mean, the float, again, it was a beautiful day. It was kind of hot.
Yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yesterday was pretty nice. Man, today would have been a good day.
I would really wish we were out today.
Oh, man.
Yeah. 70s.
I want some more of that. No, I want some more of that January canoeing. Where's that? That was some fun stuff.
Yes, I was. People, they were asking me if I had done much cold water stuff, like cold weather, and I was like, well.
You see, my brother got his boat stuck in ice one time.
Yes, it was kind of fun. Yep. And they were like, you can't be serious. I'm like, yeah. So we used to go on my younger brother's birthday, January 1st, every year.
The best time. There's nobody there. You can just do whatever.
Mm-hmm. It was very, very relaxing.
In January, the river's not just like going, right? It's usually pretty subdued. So
not as much rain, not many rain events in.
No, not lots of rain in late December. So very good.
Yep. Yeah. So
just not the portage. That'd be bad.
Yeah.